What's going on, everybody? Happy game week, Pack-A-Day Q&A edition. Sorry, I can't talk. Great way to start. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. It is literally game week. I still can't believe it. Like I said on Twitter the other day, pinch me. It's real. It's actually happening. And it's a really fun slate of action, too. We get Thursday night football, which is going to be great with Chiefs and Ravens. And then Packers Eagles is a great game on Friday. Obviously, it's a Packer game, but it's a great game even if it were a Packer game. It's an unbelievable matchup. And then, of course, you get 7 hours of commercial-free football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, Aaron Rodgers and the 49ers going head-to-head. So this is a very, very fun week to be not only a Packer fan, but certainly a football fan as well. Per usual, same general rules apply. Try to get to everyone's questions that I possibly can get to. I should have about 45 minutes to an hour here, so we should get through everything as we normally do. But thanks for being here. Thanks for being you. And let's kick things off right away with Mirko. Why is it so hard to find good offensive line? Are college programs not good in scouting and developing them? Yeah, I mean, first of all, you're trying to find 315-pound men that move very well. And just the body type with that athleticism is a hard thing to find in and of itself. And then somebody that has actually been trained well and understands the position and is focused on it and can keep their weight where it needs to be and has the right weight, meaning it's the right, bottom half, it's the right top half. You've got good functional strength up top. You've got good legs on the bottom. Just the body type that you need to be is hard enough to find in and of itself. And then somebody that's trained well at it is something else entirely. And it's just, it's not like you need, one quarterback, right? You need 5 offensive linemen and you need them kind of all to be good on 32 different teams. And it's hard to develop them. You have to remember that the high school and the college game are still a bit different than the pro game, excuse me. You have a lot more spread in college. Like you take somebody, Andre Dillard is such a phenomenal example of this. Go watch Andre Dillard's stuff in college. It's really fun. He's a really good pass protector, but it is nothing like an NFL pro set. It is him basically getting back and they're getting rid of the ball in 2 seconds. They're not really doing traditional run stuff. Like it is a complete crackerjack offense, and try going from that to carrying it over into the NFL. You're basically learning an entirely new position. So you need to be careful with that at some point where, hey, if you're drafting some of these offensive linemen from some of the schools, it might be a 2 to 3 year process just to get them playing at the level that they need to, because it's a totally different game than what they played in high school and college. So it's tough all the way around. It's certainly not the only position that's that way. But again, you need, more than 5 of them, right? Because you're going to have depth and injuries and all of that stuff is going to matter through the course of the year. So you need 6, 7, 8, and it's hard to find 5. And then, you talk about finding really, really good ones. That's even an entirely different story. So Green Bay's pretty lucky, and Green Bay deserves so much credit too. They're a bit of an offensive line factory in being able to find these guys mid rounds. Jordan Morgan, the rare first round pick on the offensive line for Green Bay. Rasheed Walker, 7th round pick, right? Now Elton's a 2nd. That's fine. And then Myers is a 2nd. Sean Ryan in the 3rd. And then Zach Tom, in the 5th round. But the fact that they can find these players, and of course we know the history, Bakhtiari, day 3 pick. And, TJ Lang, day 3 pick. Josh Sitton, day 3 pick. Corey Lindsley, day 3 pick. JC Treader, day 3 pick. Scott Wells, day 3 pick. I mean, we can go on and on. Just the vast majority of these were late round picks, and Green Bay does a phenomenal job of developing them. I think one of the other things that doesn't get talked about quite enough is the 2022 draft. I mean, you find right now, you're looking at that draft, Sean Ryan, Rasheed Walker, and Zach Tom in the same draft. Like, you found your bookend tackles in all likelihood at left tackle and right tackle in the same draft, and at least a decent rotational guy, if not a starter at right guard in Sean Ryan. I mean, they're probably going into week 1 with 3 starters along the offensive line, and we'll see what happens with Jordan Morgan and Sean Ryan as time goes on. But in all likelihood, 3 starters along the offensive line in one draft, and they didn't take any of them in the first 2 rounds. Like, that is incredible, and just a real testament to Goody and what he's been able to find specifically along the offensive line. Randy, what would the NFL do if a player broke Brazilian law by tweeting while down there? Seems like it could get them in a publicity pickle. I don't know. I think they would handle it. It's a unique situation. It's not like they're, I think it's a fine, like an $8,000 fine, something like that. It's not anything that's going to be too crazy unless I misread something. I haven't looked into it too much. My guess is they're going to have these players on, pretty strict guidelines of exactly what to do and what not to do. This is going to be a business trip. They're going to fly down, do their walkthrough on Thursday, play the game on Friday, get out on Saturday. And then that's going to be it. Like they're going to be in and out of Brazil with not leaving the hotel. And I don't think we're going to end up with too many issues here. I think they're going to be, again, pretty much on, I don't want to say lockdown and make it seem like that, but I think this is going to be a business trip. You're going in, you're playing a game, you're getting out and getting back to Green Bay. So I'm hoping that we don't see any issues with anything whatsoever. And by the way, I'm not saying it necessarily should be that way or needs to be that way, but I think that's the way that it's going to be. Reese's 004, what's some of your predictions for rookie snap counts in this Eagles game? Yeah, so I think Jordan Morgan, my guess is he gets about 20 to 25 snaps in this game. I think there will be a rotation. It won't shock me if there's not, because I think Philly is a very good defensive front. I'm not sure they just want to throw him in there for 20 to 25 snaps, but that wouldn't surprise me. I'll still put him down for right around there. Javon Bullard will start, and I think he'll play pretty much every snap. I think he'll play, let's just say there's 65 snaps. I think he'll play 65 snaps. And then you get to Edgerrin Cooper. If he's healthy enough, I think he gets 8 to 12 snaps in this game. If he's healthy, if he's not, and I'm just talking defensive here. I'm not talking special teams. So take those all apart or all to the side. But I think he probably gets 8 to 12 snaps and maybe does some QB spy stuff and maybe a couple blitzes here and there. So I think he gets 8 to 12 if healthy enough. I don't think Marshawn Lloyd is going to play. I don't think Tyron Hopper will play any defensive snaps. I think Evan Williams will play somewhere between, I'll say like 10 to 14 snaps would be my guess for Evan Williams in this one. Maybe a little bit more, maybe 10 to 16. Hopefully more, because it means that the Eagles had to pass a lot. And then Jacob Monk, nothing. Kitano Ladapo would be special teams only if he's active. And then who am I missing here? Travis Glover will likely be inactive. Michael Pratt is gone. Kalen King won't be called up. So I think that's what you're probably looking at for this game. How many total touches for Josh Jacobs Friday night? Say 23. I'm going to go with 23. I think that probably straddles the line nicely in that it's not overworking him, but that's probably right around the number that you want. Probably, maybe 18 total runs and like 5 catches. Like, I think that would be a good number for him. Week 1 hasn't always been on Matt's and the team side unless we play the Bears. What gives you confidence for Friday's game? I think they've learned lessons from that is my hope. I think the fact that they had that kind of crap week against the Broncos, I think that kind of got them fired back up. I liked what they did against the Ravens in practice. I think they're ready. I'm not saying that I have like this ultimate confidence that it's just going to be, yep, Packers are going to be good to go. I could see another situation where, hey, maybe it's not their best game and it takes them a couple of weeks to get going, for better or worse. But yeah, I think they've learned from those mistakes. I would have maybe liked to have seen a little bit more time in the preseason, but it's also hard to argue with the injury report right now. Like Marshawn Lloyd, only guy that's not practicing in some capacity, right? Like that's pretty darn good. And even he is like on a plan to get back. And it was more of like a rest day for him than anything else. So I think overall, you have to feel pretty good about the injury report and what they did. And now it's just more going out and actually executing against the Eagles. But I don't think anything Matt's done so far has been wrong. I just think now they have to go out and play the game. And hopefully we get the best version of the Packers. Not maybe the best. The best should be down the road, but a really good version of the Packers this coming Friday against the Eagles. Jen, good to see you. Glad you could finally make it. Been so focused on Green Bay, I almost missed how many awesome games there are week 1. Which non-Packers game are you most interested in? It's a good question. I know, obviously, I probably 49ers Jets in some capacity. Like that is just, there's so much intrigue there. Like Aaron's first real game as a non-Green Bay Packer against a 49ers team that's had a weird offseason. They get Trent Williams back today. Brandon Ayuk just got in. McCaffrey's been banged up. They lost some players on the team. Like I think that one's very intriguing. I mean, Rams, Lions, Sunday Night Football. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. I think Cowboys, Browns is super intriguing. Obviously Ravens Chiefs is a beautiful game. Jacksonville versus Miami is a beautiful game. Even Houston, Indianapolis, I'm very intrigued by. I'm very intrigued by Chicago, Tennessee. That might not sound like one that you'd put on the top of your list, but that one is super interesting. So like there is very few bad games on this schedule. I mean, Panthers, Saints, I don't know that anyone wants to watch. Vikings, Giants is probably not a great game. Raiders, Chargers. But like overall, this is a really, really good slate of games. A lot of rookie quarterbacks making their debuts. But I'll probably go Jets, 49ers, just because, I mean, this is a big game for San Fran. Like they have obviously every opportunity to try to go out and be the number one seed. A loss to the Jets would obviously potentially affect that. And then what is this Aaron Rodgers led Jets team? And, you get Salah versus the 49ers. That would probably be my answer. And it's just kind of like a great final Monday, game to kind of, wrap the week with. So what's the Thursday game on next week? Bills Dolphins. So that's a really good game on Thursday too. So man, what a great way to start the year. I'm with you. Thanks, Andy. Pack-a-day is so amazing. Love what you do so much. You rock, John. I really appreciate that a ton. It is really cool always to see the people that are here in the members only stuff and just the cool comments. And I see it every day. I see all the likes on the videos. It's a really cool group of people that are just complete Packers nerds. This is what we do. We absolutely love it. And I just appreciate the community that's come along and kind of joined me on this ride. And I don't take it for granted. I definitely don't overlook it any day. There are certain days where I'm like, man, it's 1 a.m, don't really feel like recording an episode. And then I quickly realize I get to talk for 45 minutes about or whatever it is, 35 minutes about the Packers. Let's go do this. And, it's super easy to do. So I'm glad that you like it. And thanks so much for being a part of it, John. What's up, Andy? Go Pack Go. So stoked for game week. I am right there with you, Vero. I've been to Sao Paulo. It is beautiful and the people are lovely. And I hate to hear all the fear mongering, especially coming from the league. Yeah. My guess is this all goes off without a hitch and it was all much ado about nothing. And let's hope that's the case. Obviously, I've heard from a lot of people in Brazil that are, basically echoing your sentiments. And I think this is going to be a really cool experience for the players. I think it's going to be a really cool experience for the fans. And just like anything, regardless of where, we obviously saw a player shot last week in San Francisco, which is just brutal. So you always hope that every one of these games goes off without a hitch, that there's no issues around any stadium. We saw the soccer game and what was it? Was it Miami where people were rushing the field on the CONCACAF final? Maybe it wasn't Miami. So don't quote me on that. In fact, I don't think it was, but either way, this stuff can happen anywhere. So I always just hope for everyone's safety that everything goes off clean, that we don't have to worry about unnecessary drama. And that we can just have a fun time talking about Packers football and Eagles football, and that is the crux of what's being talked about. But I'm with you. I'm hoping, again, that this is all much ado about nothing. Andy, thanks as always for what you do. Having seen most of training camp as LVN started developing some additional pass rush moves. Joey, I think it's still definitely a work in progress. I think it's going to take some time. So I will kind of candidly say no. I think we know what we get from LVN in a very positive sense. Freak athlete, gives 110% every single snap, and that's going to get you some sacks, right? But I think right now, if you were to ask me, and again, this is super early, I'm not saying he can't develop. I'm not saying he can't be a really good player, but is he more on a Rashawn Gary trajectory or a Clay Matthews trajectory or a Nick Perry trajectory? I'd say right now it kind of feels a little bit more like a Nick Perry trajectory than anything else, which, by the way, I think that gets a lot of hate. Nick Perry had good seasons. That's a good player that can help you out. Do you want him being your number one edge rusher? No, that's probably not ever going to be ideal, but can he be a really good rotational rusher that helps your team? Yeah. So I don't know that right now that he's ahead of schedule or on schedule. I think he's maybe a little bit behind schedule, but I'm willing to give a lot of runway here for a player of his immense talent that we all know can develop, that Green Bay takes time. I think as Packer fans, if any fan base should know that this clicks at different times for different players, it certainly clicked at a different time for Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and Donald Driver. And we can go, Devontae Adams is such an amazing example of this. Amon Green struggled when he first came into the league. We can go on and on, almost every player to a T. Jordy Nelson did not come in and just be gangbusters right away. It takes developmental time, and very few of these guys are ready to go from year one or even maybe in year two. So he's going to help this team this year. I have zero question about that. If there's any concern that he's not developing, he's a bad player, that's not going to happen. I think he's going to be, impactful. I think he's going to be a really nice rotational player, but I don't know that we've seen the jump that maybe we were hoping for going into year two. Chris Brooks, running back they just signed to the practice squad, seems like a different type of back than they usually go for. Have you gone through any tape on him yet? I have not, Vero. Let's do it. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can bring it up. Actually, let's see. I forget that I now put these live after, so it's not going to be behind the thing. So I'm not going to do it now, but I will go through it soon. I promise. And then we'll go. Also, it's not just working anyway, so I don't know why that's weird. But anyway, so yeah, I was going to bring it up, but I forgot that I'd now put these live after the fact. So I can't do it, but I will look at it soon, and I'll maybe put some clips out there on Twitter. Most hated Minnesotan, glad that you made it. Oh my God. Hi, everyone. Glad to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Friday can't come soon enough. Even Thursday, Chiefs Ravens will be awesome. Alex, I am right there with you. Member for 12 months, most hated Minnesotan. Thank you so much for that. That is amazing. I forgot that we're at the 1 year anniversary now of opening up membership. So thank you so much. Shout out to the 1 year anniversary of Pack a Day memberships. I didn't even read it yet. So there you go. Appreciate you, most hated Minnesotan. Kadeem Telfer, number 1, can he be a swing tackle this year? 2, is he the eventual best position guard or tackle? Yes, and tackle. I don't know that he's the ideal perfect swing tackle right now, but I really did think he took, I thought he took a step this past offseason. And I still kind of think it might be Dillard at left tackle and Telford at right tackle. And even before that, they might go in a situation where if it's any sort of extended absence, they might try Jordan Morgan at one of the tackles. They could even kick out Elton Jenkins at one of the tackles, and that wouldn't surprise me either. So they're going to get the best 5 guys out there. But if you're talking about on game day, we'll see. I think we're going to get a really good indication of which offensive linemen are active, which 3 backups are active on game day. Dillard is in the conversation, right? Well, we know one of them, right? Either Morgan or Ryan, who's ever not starting, will be one of them. And then I think there's 3 guys for 2 spots. And we'll see if it's Telford, we'll see if it's Dillard, we'll see if it's Monk. Again, 2 of those guys are very much in that conversation. So we'll absolutely see. I'm excited for it. But I do think that Telford can take a step. And then I do think that he ultimately is a better tackle in the NFL. My Packers lanyard broke today. All the security guards at work made fun of me. Bad omen, folks. We need to be extra superstitious now. All right. Everyone, don't panic. You need to get a new one before the start of the game. So we got this good to go. We're not going to make any big assumptions here on anything, but luckily I am the least superstitious person in the world. So it has no effect or bearing on me whatsoever. But if anyone is superstitious or even just a little stitious, get your lucky rabbit's foot out, wear your lucky underwear on Friday, whatever you need to do to make this happen so that we have all the good vibes trending in the right direction. I think what we have to say here is like the lanyard was a symbol of the shackles of playoff failures of seasons past. So now we have broken the lanyard of playoff disappointments. So now we head into a new era of broken lanyard playoff success moving forward. So I think that's clearly what that indicator is for. Who is your favorite non-football athlete of all time? Man, I have to say, I think there's a couple on this list, but the more and more that I watch and the more and on, the Olympics were another great example. I think it's just Steph Curry. I freaking love it. I've loved him since college, even though he, brutalized the Badgers. And it was Badgers or Marquette? I think it was the Badgers. He just brutalized them in that tournament game. But man, is he just a joy to watch in the way that he plays the game. And like, even if the 3-point shooting wasn't there, like the dribbling ability, the passing ability, and then you add like the greatest shooter of all time. And it's just such an aesthetically fun, pleasing thing to watch. And I know there's some Steph Curry haters out there. I just don't get it. It's like, to me, it brings me back to watching Brett Favre a little bit with just the youthful exuberance and the way that he just is so joyful playing the game. And then like literally the greatest to ever shoot in the history of somebody trying to put a basketball through a net. And then all the other stuff that he does as well. And those Warriors teams, love him or hate him, like just the pleasing brand of basketball that they play. It's not stuffy. It's just free flowing. Ball is constantly moving, getting wide open 3-point shots, just swishing them. Like that was some of the best basketball that I've ever seen. Now they were stacked, right? Like you're talking, in their prime, Steph, Clay, Durant, Draymond, Iguodala. Like it was an unbelievable team, but like, man, the way that they played was so fun to watch. So I would probably go Steph. Mia Hamm for women's national team, certainly in that conversation as well. Always had so much respect for her. Yeah, those are some of the ones that like immediately come to mind. I'm sure there's others that I'm just not thinking of on the spot, but I would absolutely go like Steph is probably 1A on my list right now. It's 2025 draft round 1. You're Brian Gutekunst. You have an equal grade on a prospect at each position. What position are you taking? I mean, I guess you could make an argument for quarterback, right? If you have a great grade on everyone, you just take the best quarterback, right? Like, even though you don't need one and Jordan's making the most, you can always make the argument for that. Like, I'll take the really good quarterback. But let's just say that that's not the way to go because Jordan's under contract and you don't want to spend another high pick on a QB. Let's see. It's probably one of three: offensive line, defensive line, or corner. I think are the three that I would go with. I think I would lean either corner or defensive tackle is probably where I would go. And I think either are good answers. They're going to have to make a decision on Devontae Wyatt's 5th year. TJ Slayton's a free agent. They do have Kenny back now but it ends up kind of being like a 2-year deal for Kenny. And then you kind of make a decision. I like Carl Brooks and Colby Wooden, but they're not like complete defensive tackles. They're kind of like rotational pass rush defensive tackles more than anything. So I'd probably go defensive tackle. And then I think after that, I would go corner. Stokes is a free agent after the year. Jair, at some point you're going to have to make a decision on whether or not you want to keep paying him a ton of money or eventually go in a different direction. Keyshawn's nice, but you're not making any draft decisions based on that. Carrington Valentine, you're going to have to see what you have this year. So I would either go corner, defensive tackle, and I would lean slightly in the defensive tackle direction. What needs to happen for the Packers to have a true juggernaut offense this year? Seems like they have all the pieces to absolutely dominate on offense. I think everyone in a very Matt LaFleur way just needs to do their 111th, but I think this is going to be dependent upon the offensive line. To me, if this offensive line goes out and blocks really well, there's no stopping them. You have no opportunity to beat this team in a consistent manner. They're just going to put up points. If Jordan gets time, he's going to beat you. If these wide receivers get time to separate, they're going to beat you. If these tight ends get time to separate from safeties and linebackers, they're going to beat you. If Josh Jacobs gets running lanes, he's going to beat you. If Marshawn Lloyd gets opportunities and cutbacks and with his speed, he's going to beat you. Like, to me, the only thing holding this team back from being the best offense, maybe even in the NFL, is the offensive line play being, if I'm not saying like, I think they're going to be fine to good no matter what, but if they are great, if this offensive line comes out and plays really, really well, and we're talking top 5 offensive line, it's just the best offense in football. I don't see how it's not, to be honest. So they have every piece from a weapon standpoint that they need. They've got the QB, and now it's just, can the offensive line be good enough in all phases to make it the number 1 offense? And if the answer is yes, then they're going to be a juggernaut, and I don't see any way around it. I have a good feeling about Narveson. It will be a feel-good story if he succeeds. I do too. I don't know why. I tweeted the other day, there's no rational way that I should feel this way. I have an irrational confidence. It's unbreakable. It's unshakable. I have a good feeling about it. And it may be famous last words, but I feel very confident going into the season with Braden Narveson for no apparent reason. It's just a gut feel, but apparently a lot of people have it. And we're just going to continue with that until never proven wrong, because it's never going to get proven wrong. Hello, Andy, and congratulations on Pack-A-Day membership anniversary. Would you buy the new Nike Packers Pegasus 42? I don't plan on it. I don't think I will, but would I? Sure. I think they look awesome. They look really cool. I think sometimes, and why a lot of the times you see my Packers clothing be usually like the all white with like a G logo, or all black with like a G logo. I'm not always a big green and yellow guy, and that might be blasphemous, but I don't know. To me, it's not. By the way, let me just say this. I love the jerseys. I love the green and yellow, green and gold. Like, give me those all day. I don't want them changed ever. I think they're perfect, but I don't know. For me, it's not the most aesthetically great color to wear. Doesn't go with a lot of stuff. So I tend to not wear a lot of green and yellow, and that kind of extends probably to my shoes. So I probably won't get them, but I think they're sick. They look awesome, and I would have no issue with wearing a pair if I had a pair, but probably will not get them myself. I was excited to watch Ron Torbert ref a game Friday night. I'm going to go walk into traffic. I will be honest, RJ, I don't have referee like memories or like referee agendas or like who does good and who does bad. I don't even know if I could picture Ron Torbert. I don't have a bad feel for Ron Torbert in any way, but there's probably a reason why. Probably did some game at some point that went really badly. I don't remember it. And I genuinely usually don't care who's the ref. Like, just hope that the refs don't get overly involved is all I care about. Do you see Kraft possibly taking over a bigger role in the offense compared to Musgrave? I think they're both going to play a ton. I don't think they have a true number one tight end. I think you're going to see Kraft in certain situations. I think you're going to see Musgrave in certain situations. And I think you're going to see a lot of two tight ends. And if there's 80 tight end snap, well, maybe not. If there's 80 tight end snaps for the top two tight ends, I think it's going to be 40 for Kraft and 40 for Musgrave. I think you're going to see it split pretty much right down the middle. And then Sims will get some playing time as well. So I think overall, you're going to see these guys play a ton, and they're just going to be used differently than one another, is what I would say. How do you think we'll use Jacobs, or how do you think will Jacobs do on Friday? I think he's going to do well. I don't know that we're going to see again 2022 Josh Jacobs, but I think he's going to fit very well in this offense. I think he's extra motivated to go and play well. He's finally playing for a team that has legitimate, big time playoff / hopefully more than that aspirations. And I think he's very rejuvenated in Green Bay. So I think we're going to see a good Josh Jacobs. I don't know that he's going to be the creator that Aaron Jones was, meaning, hey, if there's nothing there, can he get you more? He struggled with that a lot last year with the Raiders. But if this offense is clicking the way that it's supposed to, and this team has to defend these wide receivers in this passing game and are most worried about that, then I think you could see Josh Jacobs eat and I think do really well. But I think this will be a really fun introduction, and we'll see what Jacobs is capable of, and if he's still got some of that 2022 juice in those legs. Do you think the defense will be aggressive this week against the Eagles? Mobile quarterbacks have scared me. I think they will be smart. I think they'll be aggressive when they need to be aggressive. I think they'll be a little bit more passive when they need to be passive. I think they'll make sure that they're keeping an eye on the quarterback. I think they have good quarterback spies on this team. Quay Walker's a good QB spy. Edgerrin Cooper, if they need him, can be a good QB spy. I think you could see those safeties from time to time dropping into the box and being a QB spy. So there's a lot to be worried about with this Eagles offense, right? Jalen Hurts can beat you in a variety of ways. Saquon Barkley can beat you in a variety of ways. You have to be cognizant of A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. Jahan Dotson, if he's up to speed, is going to be a good number 3 wide receiver for them. So they can beat you in a lot of different ways. You're going to have to be sound. You're going to have to be communicative. You're going to have to all be on the same page. And you're going to make sure that, you're not being over aggressive. But Jeff Hafley's going to call his game. And he said this the other day. He's got the game plan together. He's not going to be gun shy. He's going to go out and call the game that he wants to call. And I think that's the right way to do it. And I've said this all going back to Joe Barry last year. We all need to be a little bit more prepared in this style of defense. They're going to give up some big plays. You're going to see more, I think, 45-yard completions. I think you might see a couple more big runs broken, maybe by Saquon Barkley. But if that means that they're getting more pass breakups, they're getting more sacks, more forced fumbles, more interceptions, I think it more than makes up for it. And I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see a more exciting brand of football and defense, but that can go both ways. You're going to see more big plays for their offense. You're going to see a lot more big plays for this defense. And I think that's going to really actually prove to be a very good thing. But you need to call the game, and you can't make anything easy on Jalen Hurts. You want to make things as this is his first time playing a game in this offense, in Kellen Moore's offense. You don't want to make things easy on him. You want to make things cloudy, difficult, confusing. And as he's trying to maybe go through some of these progressions for a first time in a new offense, you don't want to, let your foot off the gas. So I'm in the all gas, no break. And I think Jeff Hafley will be wisely aggressive, but in the right moments at the right time. And I think you'll see him, kind of pick and choose his spots with it. And I think that's the right way to go on this game. Oh my God. Thanks, Andy. You're absolutely right. You're more than welcome. How often are they going to be able to activate 6 wide receivers this year? Seems like Heath might be inactive most weeks if all are healthy. I think that absolutely could be the case. I don't think it's always necessarily Heath too. It could be Bo Melton that they deactivate from time to time if they feel like they need that big time blocking receiver, maybe a little bit more of a goon on the outside, and maybe they don't feel like maybe they feel like they have enough playmakers on the field already, and it's not Melton that they need for a given game. I think it's just going to come down to numbers. They have 10 offensive linemen, so those are 2 inactives right there. It also depends on how many players they need to call up from the practice squad. They have 2 extra defensive ends that could be inactive. Like that's 4. You could probably get away with deactivating Catano Ladapo if you needed a 5. Like there's your 5 right there, and you're probably good to go. But then again, if you need to call up Ellis Merriweather and maybe somebody else for special teams, then yeah, it's probably a 6 wide receiver. If you want that 5th defensive end, probably going to be the 6 wide receiver that gets deactivated. So my guess is Heath is, active for maybe half the games if everyone's healthy. That would kind of be my guess. But listen, he looks really, really good. And if they want to try to make him active and get him on the field some, I would not be surprised whatsoever. W opinion. Awesome. Love it. Joining just now, are you concerned about the interior offensive line against the Eagles' defensive tackles? Concerned? No. Do I think the Eagles' defensive tackles can be really good and disruptive? Absolutely. Jalen Carter's going to be a beast. He's going to be really, really freaking good. So that's somebody that is constantly going to be worrisome, and you're always going to be thinking about where is that guy at all times. I'm not super concerned about Jordan Davis. I think he's a good player, but he's not somebody that I'm like losing sleep over. Fletcher Cox is gone. Milton Williams can kick inside a little bit. They've got a good overall rotation along the defensive line, but I think Green Bay will hold up fine. Do I think that Carter gets the better of Sean Ryan or Josh Myers from time to time? Yeah, probably, but they'll survive it. They'll get through it. It'll be some run stops behind the line of scrimmage, but Green Bay will survive. And especially from a pass rush standpoint, I think Green Bay will hold up well enough, and Eagles will get theirs too. Bryce Hoff's a heck of a pass rusher. He's a big time addition for them. Josh Sweat can really get after the quarterback. So they've got enough on the outsides and on the inside combined that you're nervous about it. But guess what? So is Philly. Like, they're going to be concerned about Clark and Wyatt and Brooks and Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Enigbari, all these guys as well. So it kind of goes both ways. But nothing for me to lose sleep over, but it'll definitely be something to kind of keep an eye on as the game goes along. Do you think Hafley will use a consistent spy on Hurts, and who do you see playing that role? No, not a consistent one, but they will use one from time to time. And again, I think Quay, Edrin Cooper, and maybe even a safety from time to time would be the one. They could even use Nixon in certain situations if they really want to get creative. But I would say Quay is probably the number one guy that gets used in that role. And like I said, maybe Edrin Cooper or a safety from time to time. What wide receiver and tight end ends the season with the most yards? Yards? I'm still going to go Jaden Reed at wide receiver. I'm going to go Tucker Kraft at tight end. I think those two end up with the most yards. I think Tucker's run after the catch ability and his like intermediate passing game prowess will get him more targets and more opportunities. I think Musgrave will have a better yards per attempt. I think Watson will have a better yards per attempt, but I'm going to say Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft. Who are your top 5 teams in the NFC? Danny, I'm going through this right now for you guys, for members only. I'm going to go through my my season-long predictions for the NFL. So I will get that out to you hopefully today or tomorrow. But you'll hear I went through it. I did my first draft and I didn't like it. I actually got it right in front of me here. So I didn't like it. I need to go through it again and look at some of these depth charts a little bit more. So I'm going to try to do that tonight. And again, either get that members only video out to you guys today or tomorrow, but keep an eye out for that. And I'll go through it in a little bit more detail for you. Dontavian Wicks, fantasy sleeper. I'm assuming you meant season. Yeah, listen, I love Dontavian. You guys know how much I love Dontavian. He is a hell of a wide receiver. I just would stay away from all Packers wide receivers in fantasy, to be honest. They're all going to go, steal from each other. Same with the tight ends. Honestly, I think the only Packers player that I would like be confident of from a fantasy standpoint would be Josh Jacobs. I think I would kind of just stay away from everyone else unless one of those guys is available late and you can just get them, then great. But like, you could have a week where Dontavian Wicks goes like 8 for 200 and 3 touchdowns, and I wouldn't be shocked. And he could go 3 weeks with catching like 1 pass total, and I wouldn't be shocked, just because I think that's going to be the volatility of this Packers offense in a great way for the team, but in a bad way for your fantasy team. Call me crazy, but I don't think 8-9 is a bad season for us. We overachieved last year. I will call you crazy. 8-9 would be a bad season. It would be a massively disappointing season. Is it possible? Sure. Absolutely, it's possible, but there's no way around it. That would be a very disappointing season for Green Bay. The Packers have feasted on Kellen Moore's offense in the past in Dallas. They have feasted on Kellen Moore's offense, and they have feasted on Vic Fangio defenses. So if you're looking for a good sign for hope moving forward, I think those are 2 very good positive signs moving forward. Judy, thanks so much for being here. Glad you were able to make it live. How has Jaden Reed looked in OTAs and training camp? Haven't heard that much about him. Quiet, but totally fine. No reason for concern. He looks exactly like you would want him to look. He looks like Jaden Reed. This is one of those players that, Matt LaFleur is very cagey with how he sets Jaden Reed up for success. Jaden Reed is a phenomenal wide receiver. I have 0 concerns whatsoever. And this is kind of what we talk about with there's just so many mouths to feed in this offense. Like on one day it was Romeo, or like almost like a week, it was Romeo Doubs getting a lot of buzz. Another was Christian Watson. Another was Dontavian Wicks. And Jaden Reed didn't necessarily have that week. And I don't care at all. Like, they have the unbelievable, just ability to throw a lot of different wide receivers out in a lot of different situations and formations. And Jaden's going to be one of those guys that once the game plan gets put together, same thing for Luke Musgrave. Luke Musgrave had a more quiet camp. Am I concerned about it at all? Absolutely not. Once those guys get game planned a little bit more, you're going to see them have a lot more success. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Wouldn't surprise me if Musgrave and Reed really hit the ground running as soon as week 1. What are your favorite memories of Clay Matthews and Aaron Campman? Congrats to them for their recent Packers Hall of Fame induction. I mean, well, Clay, spill it, pick it, forcing the fumble, Super Bowl. There's nothing that's going to beat that. That's a top, arguably a top 5 Packers moment, like of all. I mean, it's in the conversation for one of the best Packers moments of all time, one of the most iconic Packers moments of all time. And you get the Kevin Green added on top of that of it is time. And then he goes and does it. Like, man, that's just a goosebumps all-time great Packers moment. Aaron Campman, I don't know that I have a play that I can remember, but man, do I remember him going from defensive tackle to defensive end and making that transition and just really coming into his own and being somebody that went from, hey, this is a nice rotational piece to, oh, he's a problem. And just seeing his growth and his constant motor and his ability to get after the quarterback and then being able to kick him inside when he wanted to. Then he had to switch to a 3-4 outside linebacker, which was not his forte at all, but he made the most of it. Just a consummate professional, really fun player. Always enjoyed watching him play, did everything the right way. One of those, do your job type of guys where if he needed to set the edge, he was going to set the edge. If he needed to get after the quarterback, he was going to get after a quarterback, and just always really enjoyed watching him play. So I don't know that I have that iconic Aaron Campman moment in my mind that I can think of at the moment, but just a beautiful, beautiful career, and really enjoyed the growth as he was coming up as a day 3 pick that they didn't really know where to play him, and then becoming one of the best defensive ends in all of football. Who will score the Packers' first touchdown? I'm going Josh Jacobs. Going Josh Jacobs on that one. Tucker Kraft wouldn't surprise me. This is the problem. Like if you told me Dobbs, yep. Wicks, sure. Jaden Reed, sure. Christian Watson, okay. Jordan Love running it in, all right. Josh Jacobs, yep. Ben Sims, maybe. Tucker Kraft, sure. Luke Musgrave, absolutely. Like you could tell me almost any of these guys and I'd be like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And now it'll probably be like Bo Melton, Malik Heath. Who knows? It could go in so many different directions. Probably be Ellis Merriweather at this point. But that's the beauty of this Packers offense is good luck predicting that, but I'll go Josh Jacobs. Took Wicks as my last fantasy football pick. Beautiful. Very smart move, Judy. Top scoring offense and defense leads NFL in takeaways. What say you? Top scoring offense and defense. Oh, they're going to be the top scoring offense and the defense will lead the NFL in takeaways. Sure. Sign me up is what I will say. Sign me the hell up. My guess is they probably don't end up in the top offense or with the top takeaways, but I bet they're in the top 5 in both. And being number 1 in both is maybe aggressive, but it's not like it would just shock me. Thinking 8 and 9 is a disaster seems like expectations are set high. Our division is tough. This is a team that should put together a winning record. Now, if you tell me like they were just hamstrung by injuries all year, okay, like then there's a way where 8 and 9 makes sense. There's nothing about this team that should be worse than last year. Nothing. Like every single position should probably be better for the most part. And to not follow up on a very promising 2023 when you go out and add some really important, significant pieces to this team and bring basically everyone back that you wanted to bring back and get better and have the young talent that you have, not finishing with at minimum a winning record would be, I think, a pretty significant disappointment. Again, barring crazy injuries. So yeah, 8 and 9 probably certainly is going to put you out of the playoffs in the NFC. It probably puts you at least in 3rd place in the NFC North. And there's just no way around it. Like that is a very disappointing season unless injuries dictate it, which again, you can have accident forgiveness for at that point. But outside of that, there's 0% reason that this team should not have a winning record in 2024. Go-to food when watching the Packers on TV, especially at night. For me, it is Culver's. I don't generally eat while watching the game. Might grab a snack at halftime really quick, but I'm so focused on everything for that 3 hours that usually not eating. Usually have a soda or two by me. That's kind of my go-to. But afterwards, of course, the Luigi's Victory Pizza. But no usual food choice during the game. Now, if I'm just relaxing and which doesn't happen anymore, but if it was legitimately like, hey, we're just watching this game for fun, I don't have any Packers obligations, not doing a post-game show after, I'm not at the game in the press box or anything like that, then then maybe we get a change. Then I'm still probably going pizza at that point, but usually it doesn't happen. Usually just some soda during the game. What is the Packers' Achilles heel this year? I don't see a lot of holes. Well, we just talked about Braden Narvison, and we're all irrationally confident, but kicker could definitely be one of those. I want to see what this run offense looks like. I want to see if this offensive line can generate enough space for Josh Jacobs to really be Josh Jacobs. I think that's going to be a question mark. The linebackers still give me some pause and some reason for concern. And then like you look at this week, right? Like we're all excited about this defense and what it can be and how it's going to be better under Jeff Hafley. But, you know, you look at A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, you've got one Jair Alexander. And how are you going to match up with all those wide receivers? What does Eric Stokes look like? I think there's still question marks on this team, and we're all, you know, irrationally excited about just about everything. And we think Green Bay has all the answers. They won't. There's going to be things that disappoint you already in week one. Stokes is probably going to give up some big play. Nixon is going to give up completions that are going to make you upset. The rookies at safety will probably make some big mistake at some point. Like there are going to be things that don't go your way. Never forget that the other team is really freaking good too every single week and get paid to pick you apart, just the way that Green Bay is trying to pick apart the other team as well. And they're going to find your weaknesses, and that's okay. Those things just need to get cleaned up through the course of the year. And there are going to be games that Green Bay does not look like themselves. This is still a young up and coming team. They should still be an above 500 team. But there's going to be some hiccups along the way, and that's okay. But I think Achilles heel could potentially be special teams, some of the stuff in the second level of the defense, and run blocking along the offensive line. Those are going to kind of be the key things that I'm looking at. Don't forget to like the stream, folks. Appreciate that. Watson is my wide receiver 6 in fantasy. Hey, that's great value if you can get him in that capacity. Is Luigi's only a northern Wisconsin thing? No, they're in 6 states. So they're all throughout Wisconsin and in 6 states in total. So it's all in the Northwest. So it's like Michigan, Wisconsin. I should have this memorized by now, but I think it's like Michigan, Wisconsin. I know it's one of the Dakotas. I want to say Minnesota. I want to say Illinois, but there's 6 states total. Let me see if I can find it really quick. It is Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Michigan, and Illinois. So 7 states. I was wrong. 7 states. Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Michigan, and Illinois. So there you go. All right. Who is your training camp position coach sleeper pick? I don't know. I don't know that I have a position coach sleeper pick. I'll just say this. It's really difficult to get to know the position coaches well enough to be like, yep, they're doing great or they're doing terrible. You kind of look at the expectations for each of the groups going into the season and you say who exceeded expectations, who met expectations, and who was below expectations. So that's kind of just how I view it each year. But I don't necessarily have a good feel for which position coach is going to be great, which one's not going to do well. I just hope all of them are up to snuff and can get all these guys playing at the level that they need to play to be successful in 2024 and beyond. Which NFL team coming into the season do you think is getting too much hype and will disappoint people? The New York Jets. I think New York Jets, that to me does not feel like a stable organization. I think so many times we get caught up in the talent on teams and we lose the fact that some of these organizations are just very poorly run. And the Jets and some of the stuff that they have done that I have seen and what we saw last year, listen, the Jets are unquestionably a talented team. You've got a quarterback in his 40s that is like seemingly wanting total control of the team, that there seems to be some butting heads of who has what say in what situations. And then we saw this team sort of disintegrate underneath itself after the Rodgers injury last year. I don't know. To me, I would be shorting the New York Jets is what I would kind of be doing. Now, if everything clicks, again, we know the talent's there. No question about it. But I'm going to go with the New York Jets. Another W opinion, Andy, the Jets are already a mess. I agree. What's your self-care to keep you at peak performance for the season? Are you stretching? No stretching. Just trying to get as much sleep as I possibly can, which is not happening at all already. Already well behind. Just trying to catch up right now as much as I can before the season starts. But yeah, just trying to do that and just eat as healthy as possible. Those are my only things right now. But it's a good time. Like this is a good time of year. I'm always excited for it. I'm not nervous about it. I'm not anxious about it. I'm not concerned over it. It's just there's a lot going on in all the best ways. And this is a really fun time of year for me. So just trying to, again, get as much sleep as I can, eat as healthy as I can, and just kind of take it from there. Rich Bisaccia on the hot seat. I said this the other day. I forget what, I think it was maybe the happy hour last week. I think he probably should be a little bit, but a couple things. One, I think he's very well thought of in the organization. Number two, he's an assistant head coach as well. And I actually do think he's very valuable in that role. I do think the special teams needs to be better this year. I mean, they need to be, I really want the middle of the pack at least. I really want to see the middle of the pack at least. So I'd love to see some improvement there. But yeah, if it's like the 30th special teams again, he probably should be. But the other consideration you have to take here too is like Matt's already going on a lot of coordinators in his time in Green Bay, a lot of swapping out at those. And you don't want to be known as the head coach that when anything goes wrong, you're just immediately firing coordinators. So you might need to stick on with some of these coordinators for a little bit just to not, because otherwise you end up with coordinators being like, don't really want to go to Green Bay. If anything goes wrong, I'm going to be the fall guy. So my guess is Bisaccia at least gets one more year after this, even if they have a bad performance again this year. But yeah, and I think that's probably an okay thing, to be honest. But because again, I do think he's valuable in his assistant coach role, but he probably should be a little bit more based on his performance over 2 seasons so far. We're just on the mild seed. Yeah, I could agree with that. Looking forward to an awesome season with your amazing content. Wade, appreciate that a ton. I'm looking forward to an awesome season with you guys. Q&As every week, happy hour. I believe, don't quote me on this, I'm 95% sure Pack-A-Day Live will be back tomorrow. If not next week for sure, but I think it's going to be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central. So even more live content. Also, obviously all of our guests are back. Camille Davis is going to be doing some more short form content on the site. So you can really look forward to that. She is unbelievable. She works for, she does a variety of different stuff, but she's does Locked On Bucks and she's phenomenal at that. And she knows her Packers. Obviously you can find her on the Pack-A-Day audio once a week on the Monday episodes already, but she's going to do some more stuff for the YouTube channel. I am so insanely excited about that. So there's going to be a lot more really fun stuff coming up too. So it's going to be a really, really fun season here on Pack-A-Day. Outside of football, are you an autumn guy? Pumpkin spicy? Do not like anything pumpkin spice related. Get all that crap out of here for me. Do not like pumpkin pie. Totally anti anything pumpkin, except pumpkins themselves. They can go out on the front for fall. I think September and early October is the best time of year in Wisconsin. It is unbelievably gorgeous. Football's in the air. Those first few games at Lambeau are just unbelievable to die for games. They're just so insane. So it's the best time of year. Then once you get to like mid-October and it starts getting into the 30s and 40s, I'm already looking forward to like spring and summer. So that's not totally true. I enjoy a lot of the winter up until usually like December, end of December, and then January and February can just go and get out of here. Thankfully, NFL playoffs get us through that time a little bit more, but I really like it warm. But autumn is by far and away the best season in Green Bay, especially with football season kicking off and the leaves changing. It is September and into mid-October, even sometimes now later October, there's no beating it. It's the best time of year. I will not be in Brazil for the game. Nope, not going. Ultimately, I would like to be there, but just didn't work out. Are you doing a podcast with Wall again this year? Absolutely, starting next week. So Mike will be back on Fridays again this year. So you can look forward to that starting next week. Camille, I like her. Good news. Yeah, she's phenomenal. Anti-pumpkin is crazy. My apologies. Pumpkins are Chicago Bears orange. We don't eat that. I like the way that you're thinking. All right. I'll give a couple more seconds here for any final questions and then we'll get out of here. Appreciate you guys a ton though. These are always fun. These are always great questions. All right. Have you tried pizza outside the United States? Yes. I went to Italy in 2023. Yeah. 2023. It was delicious. Absolutely loved it. So happy to go back to Italy and have pizza anytime. It was absolutely phenomenal. So that Italian pizza, yeah, that's one of the best. I'm a big New York pizza guy, but Italy's right there with it as well. Can't wait for the guest episodes. Me either. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I do not believe Sam will be back this year. Obviously, he's no longer with PFF. I have not reached out to Sam. So yeah, I do not believe Sam will be back. That is the one that will not be. Every other guest will be back. Herman will be back. Perry will obviously be back. Alex Strofe also will not be back this year. He made the transition to a new radio station. He's just kind of going through a transition in life right now. So hoping at some point, maybe Alex comes back, but Alex for now will not be back. And then Sam Monson will not be back for this upcoming season. Everyone else will be, which is Justice will be back. Mike Wall will be back. Carmen Vitale will be back. Also, I'm going to be doing some members only content with Aaron Nagler. So you guys have that to look forward to as well. And that will only be for members only for both here and on Cheesehead TV. So if you're a Patreon member for Cheesehead TV, or if you're a Pack a Day podcast member, which for those of you who are live in this, you are, Aaron and I will be recording an episode a week for both of our members only. So that'll be really exciting as well. Italian pizza is whatever, but Italian pasta is so crazy good. It is. It is. It is unbelievable. I will say I spent a week or like 8 days in Italy. By like day 6, I'm like, I cannot have another bite of thick, rich Italian pasta. It is delicious, but like I need something different. I'm like, I'm good. I've had enough pasta carbonara and cacio e pepe, which both of them I love to death. But I'm like, if I have one more bite of super rich pasta, I'm like, I'm going to explode. So I loved it. It is unbelievable. My first night in Rome, I had, I think the best pastas I've ever had in my life. Unbelievable. But by like day 7, I was like, I can't have any more. I need to have something different. Can I get a Taco Bell? I'm being facetious with that, but like I was ready for anything else at that point. Thoughts on the new team prez? I joked about this at the time. We don't have all 22 in the offices. I can't watch the tape and be like, oh, look at the decisions he's making. It seems like the right move. Everyone's on board with it. I know Mark Murphy is his last and final move as president of the Packers is probably not going to put somebody that's incapable in charge. They did all the right things in going through the process, even though I think they kind of knew who they were going with anyway. So I appreciate the process that they went through. And at this point, I'm just going to do a trust the process with it. So don't have any hard opinions on it one way or the other, but it seems like Green Bay got the right guy, and hopefully that ends up being the case. Oh man, I loved Sam. You guys have such a good nerdy energy together. Yeah, and my hope is that I'll try to get him on for like a couple episodes here and there throughout the course of the year. So I don't think it'll be gone entirely, just not going to probably be a weekly thing. And hopefully we can get him on a couple times through the course of the year. All right, friends, that is probably going to do it for me for now. Thank you so much for all the amazing questions. Like I said, probably going to be Pack a Day Live Wednesday night. And then happy hour is actually going to be on Thursday this week because of the game on Friday. And then we'll probably do a pregame show on Friday. So we're probably going to have 4 back-to-back live episodes. Today, members only. Tomorrow, Pack a Day Live. Thursday, happy hour, and then Friday pregame show if everything goes according to plan. So should be epic. Cannot wait for it. See you all very, very soon. And thank you again so much for being members. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.